Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to learn about Easter Island. And we want to welcome all of you that are joining us live and any of you who are watching the recording. We hope that this presentation is informative and tells you one of the best ways and easiest way to get to Easter Island. It is such an incredible destination, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So let's get going. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about you, our valued clients, and why you're the heart of our agency. We're going to discover what GLOBUS Tours is all about, why having a fully packaged tour can be the most enjoyable way to visit a place like Easter Island. We're going to show you the Easter Island itineraries, and then we're going to talk about our exclusive promotional price that we have just for you for watching or attending tonight. And then we'll have question and answers. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them for you. So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about you, why you are the part of our agency. We craft all of our vacation experiences with you in mind. We try to find extraordinary vacation experiences and share them with our clients because they may not know about all these different ways to do something like this GLOBUS tour to visit Easter Island. We think it is an exceptional product, and we want to make sure that every aspect of your vacation is taken care of, planned out, seamless. So that's one of the reasons we look to partner with a wonderful company like GLOBUS for this type of vacation experience. We understand the importance of quality travel because we are such avid travelers ourselves. We are very lucky that the internet is so reliable right now because we can literally work from anywhere in the world and run our business and take care of our clients. And so many times they're like, are you even traveling? You're just so responsive. So it's an investment in our business, and most important, it's investment in you, our clients, because we use the experiences that we have in traveling the world ourselves to deliver extraordinary vacations to our clients, give you insider tips, give you some suggestions that you might not have thought of. So that's why we do it. And we love taking care of our clients. And when my clients come back and tell me, oh my gosh, Suzanne, we had an amazing experience, that is what is most important to me. One of the reasons I partner with GLOBUS is because they are such a high quality company. I do have their specialist certification. I completed the coursework a couple years ago, and I've also completed the coursework for their sister company, Avalon Waterways. They are an award-winning travel company. It seems like every year they win some of the top industry awards for best tour provider. They have been around for almost 100 years, and they started out doing tours in Europe. They've expanded. They go to every continent except Antarctica. And as I said, my clients have used them all over the world and just come back with wonderful reports on what an incredible vacation experience it was. So my company is CruiseOne. You're like, Suzanne, don't you specialize in cruises? And yes, I do. But there is a reason I don't necessarily recommend at least a traditional cruise ship for visiting Easter Island. One is that the island has no cruise port that can take a large ship. So the cruise ships, you can see how far our ship was. This was a small expedition ship. The cruise ships have to tender or take Zodiacs in from pretty far out in the open sea. And if there is a swell, it can be kind of a rough operation. With Zodiacs, you can do it, and those are only found on the very smaller, very exclusive, expensive expedition ships. A traditional ship is going to have tender boats, and that is not very it's hard for them to get into Easter Island. So many times you'll see it on the itinerary. And if the sea is rough, if there's a swell, they just can't get in. There is a small beach on the east side of the island that if it's rough in Hangaroa, they can come around and get in here, but only with Zodiacs. So again, unless you're on an expedition ship, it's going to be a pretty much of a challenge to get into Easter Island on a traditional cruise ships. But the best part is that Easter Island has a major, huge airfield and airport. This was built in the 1970s as an alternative landing site for the space shuttle. So the really big jets can get in there and allow tourists to come in and visit Easter Island and see the wonderful archaeological sites and historical sites. Of course, there's so much mystery surrounding Easter Island. They don't really know, exactly how the Moai were moved. They don't understand completely what happened to the civilization that lived on Easter Island, what were the multiple causes of the civilization's collapse, or was it never really that big? There's lots of questions. And the places where you can see all these wonderful archaeological sites are the national parks. You cannot go into these national parks. You can't just rent a car, drive around. Oh, I'm going to go in this park and this park and see all the Moai. You have to be accompanied by a professional guide. And the reason for that is that they want to very much preserve the state that these Moais are in. They're very fragile, and they don't want tourists climbing on them, touching them, doing things like that. So you have to be accompanied by a professional guide. And the best part about these guys is that they are almost always native Easter Islanders, and they have studied the history. They understand the different stories and the traditional oral traditions. And you're going to learn so much about the history of Easter Island from your guide. And Globus provides some of the best in the business. I mean, they really do. And if you look behind me, you'll see one of my favorite spots in Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, which is the way to say it in Polynesian. It is the quarry where the Moai are all standing. And by the way, I should mention that this is called a Moai. That is what the statues are. And I'll talk a little bit more about what they are and what they represent in this presentation. So here's a look at what the itinerary looks like through Globus. This is their 7-day package. So you have 3 days in Santiago. If Santiago is very easy to reach, then you fly out to Easter Island, and you have 3 days on Easter Island, which is really enough. It's a very small island, and what Globus has planned for you is packed. You're going to see way more than even what we saw when we were on there with our expedition cruise. Then you have 1 night in Santiago, and then fly home the next day. So 3 nights in Santiago. It is a wonderful city. It is a beautiful, modern, cosmopolitan city. You can see it has skyscrapers, and it's surrounded by these gorgeous Andes mountains. It's definitely a place that is worth the time to visit, and it's easy to get to. There are nonstop flights from places like Miami, Dallas, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Denver, Boston, Chicago. So it's easy to get to. It's usually an overnight nonstop flight, and it's a long flight. You might consider booking maybe premium economy to have a little bit more comfort, or even business class if you really want to splurge. But I've done it in all 3 classes, and it's not too bad of a flight. So then once you're in Santiago, you've got free days, and I can help you plan out exactly what you want to do on those free days. I had some ladies do this trip in October, and we planned a trip up into the Andes Mountains where they had a picnic. They absolutely loved it. It was beautiful. They also went to a folklore show when they were in Santiago. But so many things to do there. They have a wonderful mercado in the city center. You can take a tour to go out to Valparaiso, which is the coastal area. You can visit local hotspots like hot springs. And there's also a world-class viticultural area in just outside of Santiago. It's between the ocean and Santiago. Amazing wineries there that are known for their wonderful white wines. And there's also some great red wines being produced there. So this is something definitely that if you're a wine lover, or just, it's definitely worth your time to spend those 3 days in Santiago. And I can help put together a custom package, because the Globus package is an independent package. It doesn't necessarily have tours. It really allows you to customize it to the way you want to go and the amount of money that you want to spend on this particular part of the tour. So on day 4, you will fly from Santiago to Rapa Nui, Easter Island. And this island is so amazing because it is considered the largest open air museum in the world. There are over 400 of these moais in different configurations, ruins and temples. They're located about 2,200 miles off the coast of Chile. So it's a very remote island. But it's going to feel more like Polynesian. So it's Chilean territory, but it has that Polynesian history because the original Easter Islanders did come from Polynesia. So you get picked up at the airport, checked into your hotel, have free time for dinner. The next day is day 5. You're going to have a full day island tour. Breakfast and lunch are included, and you're going to visit 4 different archaeological sites in that one day, and it is enough time. We saw most of these during our expedition cruise, but there's a couple things that you're going to get to see that we didn't get to see because of the time involved in taking the Zodiacs in and getting back to the ship and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the different sites that you're going to visit. And I want to point out this picture before I change my slide. This is the way that all the Moai were before the 20th century. They all had been toppled during that time of civil war and unrest and rivalries between the different tribes. So, and there is some controversy. Some people think that some of the Moai were knocked down by tsunamis. Some people think that they were knocked down by warring tribes, because the Moai, and I'll go to the next slide, are such an important symbol of the ancestry of the people, and they were placed up on these platforms, and I'll show you in a little bit what it looks like, to watch over their descendants, and so they were to honor their ancestors. And this village that you visit, all the Moai are still toppled. They have not been stood up. Don't know if they will. You can see there's a top knot that's completely separated from the rest of the Moai, but this village has a lot of archaeological representation. It shows what their version of a chicken coop looked like. This is actually a house. This is what their houses look like, very simple. And the Easter Islands really did learn to adapt to the harsh conditions because of the deforestation that occurred on the island. The next place you're going to go is Reino Raraku, and this was definitely my favorite site that we went to. As you can see, it's the one that I chose for my background picture behind me. And this is the quarry. And what's so interesting is you have over 394 statues that were abandoned in different states of work in progress. And the way that they would make the statues is they would carve the statue. You can see there's one being carved there. Eventually they would separate it, and then they would lower the statue down the hill and stand it up to do some of the finish work. And then after that finished work was done, it was transported to the tribe's original site where they lived, and erected as a way to honor a fallen ancestor. This was absolutely an amazing thing. You can see you can get pretty close to the Moai in this site. But again, you're going to be accompanied by your guide, and you're going to listen to your guide and do whatever they tell you to, because these sites are very precious to the Easter Islanders, and they don't want any vandalism or damage or anything done to any of the Moai. Now, here is the Moai that were restood up during the late 20th century. There was a Japanese project to help get them stood back up. All of these had been toppled and washed inland. They worked with cranes and modern equipment to get them stood back up. Some of them were repaired. You see that there's one that has a little top knot, but this is the place where you have the most Moai assembled in one place. And again, they're always facing in, because the Moai are watching over their descendants. And so they always face with their back to the ocean, and they're looking in on the tribal village where the people have put up the Moai. This is another geological site, Ahu Te Pito Kora. And this is it's significant for 2 reasons, because the largest Moai ever erected stands in ruins there, or lies in ruins there. And then it also has a set of stones that the very first king that settled Easter Island brought with him from Polynesia. And it's believed that it embodied his spiritual power. So that's one of the reasons that he carried these stones all the way on his outrigger sailing canoe to Easter Island, so that he would carry his spiritual power with him, or at least that's what they believed. And then the tour is going to wrap up at Anakena. This is a beautiful, beautiful site. You can see here the Moai stand with their back to the beach. This is the only sandy beach on the island. And so this was the landing spot of those very first settlers that came here. Surely they knew about the island because the Polynesians were great navigators, and there must have been some sort of civil dispute that caused this whole group of people to leave their Polynesian island and come out and seek Easter Island. So amazing site, and all of these Moai, I believe at one time had the top knots, although only 4 of them have them now. So then on your next, so that evening you go back to your hotel, you have free time. That could be a time when you're going to take in an extra activity, enjoy the food. The food in Hangaroa is wonderful. I had a fabulous lunch there. Um, but the next day, you're going to learn about the second phase of Easter Island's history. And that was the adoption of the Birdman cult. So it was after the civil unrest, after all the Moai had been toppled, the tribes were warring, and they decided to find a more democratic way to rule the island rather than just keeping fighting with each other and having all these people die and be killed. And so that was the start of what's known as the Birdman cult. And so on this second day, day 6, your second day of touring Easter Island, you're going to get a full day tour that's going to explore the area of the Birdman cult, and you're also going to visit the Top Knot Quarry, which is a different area because it's red volcanic soil. And we didn't get to go there when we were there. So that's something you're going to get to do that we didn't do. So this is the site of the Birdman Cult Village. Here are the buildings that have been reconstructed. And you see in this picture, these islands off the coast. And the Birdman competition was started by the Easter Islanders as a way to elect their ruling king, a tribal leader that would rule the whole island for a year. Each island would have their strongest warrior trained for this competition. He would have to scale down this cliff, swim across to this island, and bring back an unbroken frigate bird egg. And the first tribal warrior to do that would win rule for the island for a whole year for his tribe. And that must have been a more fair way to do it because they knew that the ruler could change every year. And so they didn't want to treat other tribes badly for fear of retaliation if their warrior won the next time. So it sort of marked a transition in the government of Easter Island. And interesting, you learn all about it. There is a museum there. Your guide will explain all the details and many different just kind of interesting aspects about the Birdman cult. You're also going to visit a couple other archaeological sites that are very interesting. There is an ancient cave with wall paintings, and that's called Anakai Tagata. And then you're going to go to the only inland Moai site. All those other Moai are right at the ocean facing it, but there is one inland Moai site, and that's Ahu Akivi. And then you go to the top knot quarry, Punapau, and you can see that the top knot is a different color than the rest of the Moai. There was the kings did wear a ceremonial top knot, and they must have started adding these to show a special king or someone who was actually a renowned leader, something like that. They really don't know exactly because there's no written history of Easter Island, only oral tradition. So additional optional packages that you might want to consider adding to your tour, you could book these ahead of time. You could book them while you're on the island, or your Globus guide can help you book them. But maybe a sunrise photography tour. This island, Moai, they face west, but of course they back up to the east. So you have beautiful sunrise pictures there. Hangaroa has a folkloric dinner show and traditional meal that they serve. So that might be something interesting to go see. And then there's also a craft market. The Easter Islanders are wonderful carvers, and they sell all kinds of different wooden versions of the Moai, rock versions of the Moai. You can buy some Moai to take home with you and commemorate your trip to Easter Island. Day 7. So you're going to have breakfast at Easter Island. And then, of course, your transfers back to the airport are included, and your transfers from the airport in Santiago back to your hotel in Santiago are also included. So day 8, your formal tour package ends with breakfast that morning. However, many of the flights are in the evening, like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. red-eye flights back to the US. So you could actually leave your luggage, check it at the hotel, leave it at they're going to have a special room where they can store your luggage, and go do something on the town in Santiago. There's a wonderful archaeological museum there, lots of different things that you can actually do in Santiago that day, and then take your transfer to the airport. Your long haul transfers are included if you book your air through GLOBUS Tours. So, and then they're very reasonably priced if you book your own independent air. So, all of that can be included in the package for you, making it a completely worry-free vacation. Here's a look at the hotel. So the hotel in Santiago is the Sheraton Hotel and Convention Center. Very nice, modern first-class hotel. And then the hotels in Easter Island are a little bit more laid back, a little more island style. There are no five-star hotels in Easter Island, but they're all going to be the nicest ones that are available. You can see this one has a beautiful property with a pool. It's in walking distance of the shops and the restaurants in town. So you're not limited to just eating at the restaurants at the hotel. You can definitely get out and walk around. It's a little small town. Hangaroa, I think, has about 2,000 people. So very interesting little town to explore. We were there with one of our expedition guides on our expedition cruise, and he actually spent about 20 years in Easter Island. He was, I believe, is an archaeologist and sociologist, something in that science field. And it was so interesting to see him walking around town, and all these people knew him. Hey, and his nickname was Rapa because he spent so much time in Rapa Nui. So here's a look at the pricing for 2025 and 2026. Now, this package does not include, this price does not include that air from Santiago to Easter Island and Easter Island back, but GLOBUS will book that for you, and that is the way to go. You have them book it for you at the market rates. It's a way that they can keep the package price down, and so you can you get this nice affordable package price. You do have to add your air onto this. So you've got your air from the US and then your air to Easter Island. And I would budget about, depending on your gateway city, about $1,500 per person for both of those air, that total air package. And then you've got the 2026 price. It does go up a little bit through 2026. This is an independent stay, so it is available through March of 2026. There are some other packages that are longer. They combine with longer tours, and those are available all the way throughout the end of 2026. But there's availability in 2025. So if you want to go this year, give me a call. I'll tell you what dates there's availability. We'll get you to Easter Island because it is so amazing to see all those archaeological sites. I was just completely blown away when we were there. It was better than I expected. Now here's an example of a longer tour. Now this one so the first one was a GLOBUS independent. It did not include the intra-air. This is more of a package tour. So you're going to be with a group the whole time. And don't be worried about the schedule of the group. There is lots of free time when you are on one of these package tours. All your meals are not included. Some are, which is nice because they're a special meal. But there's plenty of time for you to go explore on your own, shop, do whatever you do on your independent days. But this is a 15-day tour, Rio Iguazu Falls, which is absolutely gorgeous waterfalls. Buenos Aires, I can't tell you how much I love Buenos Aires. I've been there 4 times now, and I'm going back twice next year. So I just absolutely love Buenos Aires. That gives you an idea of what the whole package price is, and this includes your air already. So everybody in the group will be on the same flights for convenience when you have a group like that. Now, here's some other optional tours that it's combined with. I have to tell you, this southern Chile and Argentina, absolutely gorgeous. There's glaciers there. That's the 18-day tour. This, is going to give you so many bucket list items. And then there's also the 19-day tour that includes the addition of an Amazon River cruise. So again, all those touch points of things that you want to see and do in South America. And then they also have another independent package that includes those same places, but you're touring independently. Now, more options which you can combine. These are, a couple of longer ones. This one's going to include the Lake District. Bariloche is the Lake District of Chile. Another beautiful area to visit. Been there on a couple of trips and absolutely loved it. And then there's also Cosmos. So Cosmos is Globus's sister brand. The package in Easter Island is exactly the same, but your hotels are a little bit less expensive hotels, which helps to keep the price down. And these are extended tours, but they include kind of all the guides and pluses of a Globus tour, but with your less expensive hotels, which again help to keep the price down. Still fully vetted 3- and 4-star hotels. So a wonderful experience with Cosmos. You can also book your long haul air as well as on the independent packages where the intra air is not included. You can book that through Globus. It's a pretty good program. You get to choose your routing, your flights, your airline. And then, of course, in some of the intra air, there's not really a choice in airline. There's only maybe Aerolíneas Argentinas and LATAM. That LATAM is the only airline that flies to Easter Island. But for your long haul, you can choose American, Delta, United, whatever you want. And you can choose the routing carrier best meets your needs. At 11 months before your tour date, those flights would be available. And again, your transfers are included if you book your air and arrive on brochure dates and depart on brochure dates. You just have to put an additional $300 deposit down to secure that air, and then it's not fully paid until final payment. Pretty good program. Globus has a sister company called Avalon Waterways. I have had lots of clients sail with Avalon Waterways, and they go all over Europe, all over the world, the Peruvian Amazon, the Nile, the Mekong, everywhere. Now, I do a lot of group cruises, and so while I have your attention, I just want to let you know, some other things that our agency does besides maybe this tour to Easter Island. We are called CruiseOne, so cruising is our specialty. But again, I talked at the beginning about why I maybe wouldn't recommend a cruise unless it's an expedition cruise to visit Easter Island. We've got a couple escorted river cruises coming up in 2025. Some of these have great, better than market rate pricing. So I encourage you to call me if this is something that's of interest to you. And then we have, and you can also check out our recorded webinars also on our YouTube page. So at the end of this video, if you like and subscribe to our page, you'll be able to find some of these others very easily. We do a lot of cruises with Holland America. They are a wonderful longer itinerary cruise line provider. We recorded a webinar in the Scandinavian capitals back in April. This is one we're escorting. It ties into that Avalon River cruise. You can do them as back to back. And then you can also do this Globus package, the Best of Norway, which is available with this package and also an extension where you take a train ride back to Oslo. Norway is absolutely a stunningly beautiful country. And so if that's also something you want to see, please consider, contacting me about these packages. Talking about remote regions of the world, Antarctica, 2 ways. I have a ocean cruise that's scenic sailing only on Celebrity Cruises. I have locked in great group rates on that. And then I also have we're hosting an expedition to Antarctica in 2026. We have 1 cabin available. We do have a special discount that we can offer exclusively to our customers if you are interested in learning about Antarctica. It's approximately $18K per person based on double occupancy or single share occupancy. And then we also just launched our great prices for Antarctica in 2027. We also love to visit Europe, and we have these 2 cruises on Windstar and Azamara that can be booked as back-to-back. If you look, there are no repeat islands or destinations, so you're going to get to see Turkey, Greece, Italy. You can book one or both of these, and if you book them both, I'll put together a 4-day custom package for you in Athens between the 2 cruises. We are a part of CruiseOne and Dream Vacations, which is a large network of national franchises, and we have lots of group space. We are a preferred provider with many different cruise lines. So you can go to my group page and look at the groups that I personally manage. And then if none of those dates work for you, we have special pricing on so many different ships and sail dates that's part of our corporate headquarters block space. So again, there's so many times I can get you a better than direct pricing from what you would pay with the cruise lines because of the buying power that our organization has with the cruise lines. So book your next Globus Tour or Avalon River Cruise night by June 14, and you're going to receive an additional $50 per person off any new Avalon Waterways or Globus or Cosmos booking. And it's just for attending this virtual tour event. So we want to thank you. That is our way of thanking you for attending our event. Now I want to open up to any questions. I do see that I have one in my chat box, and it is regarding the availability of medical facilities on Easter Island. So Easter Island does have a hospital. It has regular doctors. It just doesn't have specialists. So what I would recommend if you were planning to visit Easter Island is that you purchase a medical evacuation policy. Our travel protection policy provides you with a $50,000 medical evacuation policy. But if you wanted to supplement, you can buy a standalone medical evacuation policy that would get you, because in people who live on Easter Island, if they need critical care, they have an insurance policy that covers flying them to mainland Chile on a medical ambulance. So again, regular things, broken arm, that doesn't require surgery, broken foot, cough, cold, the flu, sore throat, anything like that can be treated on the island. But if it's something, very critical, then they're going to triage you in the island hospital and then fly you on a medical ambulance home. So even though it is one of the most remote places in the world, there is a way to get you to critical care if needed. So consider your health. You should be in good health if you're going to go any remote place in the world, Easter Island, Galapagos, Antarctica, any places like that. Any other questions? Okay, I try to be as thorough as possible. So I want to thank you for all attending live, and those of you watching the recording. I really appreciate you being here, and give me a call. I would love to help you plan this fantastic cruise to Easter Island. Here's my contact information. There's my email. You can email me if you'd like further information. Give me a call on my toll-free number, and then check out our website for those group prices. They're amazing. Check out our YouTube page, like and subscribe to it, because we post these webinars whenever we have something really special to share with our clients. And we'd love for you to learn about more of our special pricing and exclusive offers. So we also have a Facebook page, so you can go like our Facebook page. So again, thank you so much for coming, and I hope to hear from you tomorrow and get you booked on one of these fantastic packages to Easter Island, or in combination with a wonderful trip to South America. And glad to answer any questions when you give me a call. So thank you so much, and I thank you for visiting. And again, thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your day.